Hello. Is the stream working? Okay, I think the stream is working. Let me double check real quick. Make sure it's not doing the thing where, oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's actually live. Cool. All right. Well, welcome to this week's Speedpaint Sunday. We got a big robot to draw today. So, um, I guess we'll just get right into it. I don't really have anything to chit-chat about today. Am I on the right layer? Okay, I'm on the right layer. It's a very cool giant robot. With also some like really crazy perspective stuff happening. Look at that arm. All giant in the foreground. Might be a little bit tricky just because I'm bad at drawing big robots. Hang on. What's wrong with my stream? Why is it red? Uh-oh. YouTube, I think, is fine. Twitch says it's unstable. And my bitrate is like way down. Also, my network is not looking great. Well, let's hope it's okay. I guess if anyone's over on the Twitch side and can let me know if the stream is streaming, I guess we'll see. So, big robot has lots of details and lots of hard lines, which are tricky to do. Because I'm not good at clean straight lines, especially not when I'm drawing this quickly, obviously. That makes it very difficult to do things with precision. Let me see if I have things kind of at the right height. I think I need more space up here. This goes down to, yeah. Just kind of at least roughly get in where that should be. Seem about correct. Something like that. Just kind of being careful to place things correctly. I think when you have these, you know, very artificial, mechanical kind of structures, it's more important than ever to make sure to have things like at the right proportions. Because obviously rocks and trees and whatnot can come in all sorts of different shapes. And if you mess it up a little bit, then it's not really noticeable. But for something like this, you have to be a little bit more careful. Is my size correct also is the question. I think that's about right. It's maybe a little bit big. This needs to be more this way. I'll start putting in some of the other stuff and just see where I can place things kind of in relation to each other. Oh. Oh boy, these like rocks just have these lines that just kind of spiral in and in and in all the way. It's really pretty fascinating. Very cool. I think figuring out the specifics of that will be a task for later me. I don't need that for the very first sketch. I just kind of want to have some guidelines to help me do the rest of it, you know. Hmm. Like this is like not quite aligned correctly. I hope I have things at least at the right angle. That looks about right. Something like that. And there's like more to the robot down here, but it's very difficult to make out any details in that fog, so I think I'm just going to kind of leave that part out. Its shape looks weird. It doesn't look quite right to me. I think it needs to be rounder over here on this side. I don't usually spend this much time on the sketch, I think, but like I said, with this thing, I really want to make sure my proportions are correct and my lines end up being relatively clean. Obviously, they're not going to be super clean, just because this is speed paint, but, you know, I'll do what I can. That seems about correct-ish. I think I will try to sketch in more details of the hand to get that kind of roughly correct too. This is pretty fun to draw, not gonna lie. Get to just draw all these geometrical shapes. I feel like I don't have time to do this though. I need to speed things up a little. Um, do, do, do. Man, I would love to actually experiment with these shapes if I had time, but sadly, such is the restriction of the speed paint. Hmm. I think that's maybe about good enough. I'm trying to also figure out the relative like heights of these fingers. So this ends like only slightly above where this finger ends. I think I need to add this part here and like that. I think that's probably good enough. Okay, is there anything else I need to sketch in? I think that's probably about as good as we can get things. I don't think I need to go into the detail of these rocks and stuff here. All right, color time. Honestly, I think this one might be a good candidate for just a single layer, just because it's very, um, what's the word? Very like fuzzy. I think there's, obviously a lot of dust here in this desert that's just kind of, blurring the atmosphere. So everything just kind of blends together a little bit. And I think it would be easier to get that kind of blended look by just sticking everything on one layer. So I think that might be what I do for this. I do really like the colors here. We've got these oranges here blending into kind of a pink purple on this side, which is going to be super fun. So let's go for it. How's this color? Oh gosh. Not quite what I want. I want something a little bit more saturated. Is that good enough? Maybe. That might be good enough. I think I'll want the shadows and stuff to be pinker, but I think we can start with this more yellow tone. Yeah, maybe just for here. And then we can even like start pinking things up. Around the outsides and like here and definitely in the row bit. We might go for some darker pinks. This obviously is going to have to get even darker eventually. But here we keep getting more and more purple. Not exactly what I want, but we can start with that. Maybe not there. Here I think we need to go even more purple. This definitely is less saturated than this. Let's maybe something like this. That's maybe a little bit too much, but let's just start with it, just for fun. Just for fun. Oh, look at those colors. That's lovely. They're not accurate colors to the image, but they're a good start. I think this is going to be very fun to deal with. Man, I just love how this looks already. This is a cool one. All right, I guess where do we want to start? I kind of want to start by just putting in some of the rock textures before I start getting too much into the details of the robot. Seem to be doing really well today. Thank you. I think this one is very much a less convoluted one than some of the others. The composition is pretty simple. Like it just kind of has some rocks and then the main focus is this robot. compared to some of the others that just have so much shit going on. Um, this one also is relatively low contrast, which is something that I tend to struggle with a lot. So this one's a little bit friendlier. Is that maybe too pink? Maybe even too dark. Let's switch to our watercolor brush. We can blend this stuff in a little bit more. That definitely ended up being too pink. I think I need to go more towards the browns and oranges in this. Maybe start putting in some rock wall texture in there. Some more kind of shadows. A little bit back here. Maybe do that with the thicker brush. Maybe I lost too much pinkness. Let's go back to the pink a little bit. A little bit. And you know what? Let me just take this other color and make this background lighter. Oh no, that's not what I want at all. Just lighten up this. No, still not it. I want that to be not too saturated. There we go. I still actually maybe want that to be like more pink. I like the pinks in here. I want to keep them. That ended up being too bright. That's probably good enough. Okay, we've got that going. Ooh, this one's gonna be so fun. I mean, it already is fun. But it's only gonna get more exciting as we get into more of the details. I'm getting a little bit too saturated. Let's tone down the shadows a little bit. Make them kind of cooler. And the robot here in the shadows is also kind of a cool tone. And the shadow of the robot, as we can see on this wall here, is even more cool. Let's see. I think we just need to go grayer for this shadow. It's maybe a little bit too dark. I want to lighten that up a little bit. Or actually maybe lighten up the areas around it. Mm. This was the grayish color I was using. Maybe even make that darker, right? A little bit darker. Um, do I want to put more? Where do we want to put more of this? Okay, something like that. Let's try to put in some of these other pinkish purplish colors over here. Which ones do we want? This was the like purpliest color we had. Uh-oh, come on. Oh, that's too purple. We want more of a red. That's still too purple. Something like this. Is that too dark? That too intense? I think it just needs to be like grayer. Something like that, maybe? Not quite. It like stands out too much. I'm not sure what exactly is wrong with it. Did I go too purple? I think it needs to be less purpley and more like gray. I'm not sure. I feel like that's worse. No, I don't like that. Pen! Boy, please be centered. Yeah, I think it just went too purple. I think maybe it needs to actually be more just back to the oranges. Hmm? Is that closer to it? It's actually maybe a little bit too dark, but I think that's closer. Maybe? Okay, let's put in some of these other purpley colors just to so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Also put in a little bit of something something here. Oops. What the heck? Don't do that. Don't do that. Um, you know what? Where's our light color? This one, I think. This might end up getting painted over later, but I just want to put in the edge there just a little bit. Definitely looks weird when they take the lines off, but Oh, we'll fix that. Um, let's see what I want to do. I did want to do more purples here. This is quite purple. Is that going to be too much? I think it is a little bit. I'm not entirely sure how to parse this light line here. I think, is this just like the shadow of the hand, this dark part, and then this, no, I think there's actually a path here leading under the hand. I think this is a little footpath, this light line. So it's a little bit funky, but now up here we want back to kind of browns. That's too purple. I think that's going to be too intense. It's all right. I actually think I want less gray over here. It's too light though. I still want sort of shadows. Oops. Hmm. I can very much see that these parts are too bright. I definitely need to tone them down at some point. I think this color I have now might actually be decent for that. Let me try it real quick. I think that's maybe still too bright. And this is clearly too thick. I need to thin that up a little bit. There's my, I don't know what color I want to use for this. This one maybe? Hmm. Okay. I think I should start putting in Robit. So let's maybe start with the hand. I definitely can see that my hand is a little bit off. I think it's kind of too small, actually. I think this, oh, pen, do your thing. this corner needs to be maybe more like out here, but I don't know if I want to mess with that at this point. I might try. Anyway, let's start with some purples, I guess. We're definitely gonna need to go darker for this. How's that color? Is that an okay color? It's not great, but I think it's okay for now. Lightly put that in there. Maybe lightly put it in here. And I'm gonna go ahead and get something a little bit redder. A little bit pinker. Or yeah, put a little bit of this in there, not too much. I do want to go back in with something more orangey, actually. Like that, and then get an orangey color. Maybe is this too much? Something like that. Okay. Now let's maybe try to outline some of this other stuff with the purplies. Oops. Okay. And here, just do like a light pass of the purple. Drawing Robit is surprisingly fun. I definitely do wish I had more time for this. Because this is definitely the sort of thing that you can do with like all the details and getting into all the precision of, you know, getting the shapes and the planes all accurate. And I think that would be very fun. But unfortunately, right now, I feel like I don't really have the time for it, which is sad. Such is the sacrifice of speed paint. How cool is it gonna look? Well, right now it doesn't look very cool, I'm not gonna lie. But it's getting there. I think this part that I kind of added a little bit more shading to already looks cool. But some of these parts are still very much lacking. I think let's start going in with some darker colors. I think it needs some extra dark shadows in there. Is this a correct color for that? I feel like we maybe want to like go more gray. Is that too much? I don't know. Maybe that's too much. Okay. Um, hmm. I think I probably need to start with more of the purpley color and then layer the orange into it, and that'll probably look better. Like that, and then add in the oranges for some highlight, sort of like that, and then extra highlight over here. I don't think I'm gonna bother with like all of the details of all the different, you know, panels of the arm and stuff, because I just don't have the time for that, but I appreciate that they are there. Um, Try to get in some of these darker shadows. Bring this part up a little bit. This really is quite fun. I definitely need to make sure to leave enough time for the robot's body. Get these extra shadows in the joints in. Hmm. These sides here need to be darker. I actually want to put some more of that orangey sort of light underneath the hand as sort of a reflected light. A little bit more orangey. Um, that is probably a good place to stop for here, just because I have other stuff that I need to fill in before I run out of time. Not a terrible looking hand. It's not quite an accurate color, but we don't need 100% accuracy here. That's fine. It looks cool. And I think that's what matters. I do really love the warm sort of highlights on it. I think that's very cool. I think in general mine is coming out much warmer than the original, which is not necessarily bad. I do like to use it as this as kind of an exercise to see how well I can match the colors of the original, but I mean, if I end up making the colors more fun, then is that really such a bad thing? I think it's fine. Okay, I think for this arm going back, I'm gonna start with just this purpley color, but try to do it with the watercolor brush just to blend it in to the existing colors. Sort of like that. It's just kind of implying the shapes of things without really going into the detail. There is kind of more reds here that I sort of want to put in. How was I maybe just going with this a little bit in some places? Like that? I maybe overdid it, but I like how it looks. Mm. Let's see. I think first of all, this area here needs to be lightened. Otherwise, these are gonna blend into it. I made that too dark by accident. If I have time, I would like to put in some of these cracks and stuff. But I don't know if I'm gonna get to that really. Mew? We have a Mew? Okay. You know what? Maybe highlight this a little bit with that. Maybe even with red. No, that's a little bit much, I think. Meow. Hi. Hello. Are you here to get in the way? Of course you are. What else would you do? I feel like my bit of this arm here is looking too long. What did I mess up? Or maybe it's not that it's too long, it's that it's too thin. Let's thicken it up a little bit. Seems too dark now. We have to kind of blend it back into the background a little bit. That's maybe too much, but that's what we'll go with for now. What color do I want that to be? Hmm. Hmm. I'm gonna, I think, start by taking some of my pinkish color here and do that for the top of the robot over here. Because I think the entire thing kind of needs to get darkened up. Maybe put in some oranges. And then into some like browns in here, perhaps. And down here, it really just kind of starts to blend into the shadows down here. And it kind of fades away. This is not the right color. This entire thing is like my version is very much hue shifted into the pinks and purples. I need to maybe I need to start going more towards oranges. Oranges and yellows. just to fix this up a little bit. I don't want to go completely off script over here. Oh boy, we're at 9 minutes left. Oh boy. All right, let's see. How do we try to get these shadows in correctly? Let's get our purple back to do the like edges. Just kind of a little bit. Maybe a little bit of it in. Do I want to start putting in the details? Let me just sketch them in a little bit just so I can remember where they are, and then maybe keep going on the shading. Hello, Sunsetjin. Welcome to the stream. We're about finishing up here. Let's see how much I can do in the last like 8 minutes. Oops. I definitely need to start putting in more shadows over on this side. Yeah, the Hopi timing. Yeah, sorry. I do, these last an hour, so we're almost at time. Whoops, no, I think I want that brown back. That's very disappointing, honestly, because I really want to do this one for longer. This is a very fun one. Oh boy, I think my pen is being a little bit weird. I don't know if I actually want to use purple for these shadows here. I probably don't, to be honest. Maybe more of the brown for the big shadows. Let's maybe get the thick paintbrush back. I'm not going to be able to get all of these fine lines in cleanly, but I'll try my best. I would also really like to be able to put in the like, oh, hey, pen, please cooperate. The like highlights around the edges of the lines and all that good stuff. But such is the pain of speed paint. No time. I mean, that's looking pretty decent. It definitely is very much hue shifted towards the pinks, but you know, still looks cool. I have not forgotten about the spiky bits. I will hopefully have time to put those in. They're a little bit important, I think. I want to actually go ahead and put some of the yellowy highlights. Is that too yellow? Maybe that's too yellow. But I want to put a little bit on the bottom and put some light in our shadows. I think that would make things fun. Yeah, I definitely think my central bit here is not quite in the right position, but oh well. You know what? While I have this super bright color, let me see if I can just quickly put in some highlights along the edges. I feel like it's not even quite bright enough to do that. Well, I did what I could. Okay, let's go back to this and I think do the spiky bits. Let's do spiky bits. That, and then let's get a light color and do the edges of the spiky bits. Give them some highlights. You should draw a rat. I mean, rats are great, but maybe not right now, unfortunately. I would love at some point to draw a rat. Yeah, sorry to disappoint. Okay, we have like 2 minutes left. Oh boy, you're very disappointed. Okay, is there any last thing that we can fix in 2 minutes? How are we looking? Let's take a step back a little bit. Let's take a look at our, yeah, this bit here definitely needs to be darker. 2-minute rat. I mean, my values aren't perfect, but they're pretty decently close. I think the main thing that bothers me is how much darker this needs to be. I think this needs to be kind of more in shadow too. It does bother me a little bit that the image as a whole, and especially this right part, ended up being, as you can see here, so much pinker than the original, but I don't hate it. I just made it extra colorful. What does it need? I feel like it could use a little bit more shading here. What would be a good color for that? Maybe if I just like take something like this and just give it a little bit more volume. Just a little bit of depth. Kind of like that. Did that help? I'm not sure if that helped. Maybe it helped. I do also wish I had more time to focus more on these rocks and stuff. Here especially, oh my god, this is just a mess. Can we fix this real quick, maybe? Yeah, give it a little bit of that brown. I'm not going to have time to draw in any of those rocks and stuff, but maybe get a little bit lighter, or Maybe even with this one. Just so it, just give it some scribble texture so it doesn't look like I completely ignored it. Um, yeah, these bits are definitely still too purple, but I don't know if I can really fix that at this point. I think if I try to mess with it too much, I'll just end up muddying it. I think that might be where we stop. Honestly, not too bad. I feel like it's very common for me in these to have a lot of trouble with the contrast, that my darks are just not dark enough and my lights are not light enough. So the fact that this image has relatively low contrast to begin with, I think kind of worked to my advantage. Um, Even these shadows in the hand, I think I got about the right value. Um, yeah, this was super fun. I really wish I had more time on this. Um, I feel like it could be very satisfying to just go and do the like those really sharp geometric planes of the mechanism. I don't really draw robots at all, so this was, an uncommon experience for me, and I actually found it very fun. But yeah, it's definitely the kind of thing that you want to like spend the time on to make precise rather than just kind of scribbling it the way I do in these timed speed paints. Um, so yeah, it's a little bit disappointing in that regard, but I still had a good time. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this as well. I have been plotting some changes to my speed paint formula, so I'm working on it. Hopefully next week or in the next few weeks, I might have something cooked for you guys. All right. Anyway, thank you for coming. The schedule for next week, I think, is going to be normal. I don't think I have anything particular planned. So we're going to have our Tuesday and Thursday of the Devil streams and then a speed paint stream on Sunday. So I hope to see you there.